All right, welcome, welcome. To a class I didn't think was going to exist. Some of you may have kind of heard me refer to this, if you are my Math 154 student, how my schedule was expected to shift. I was never anticipating this class to run, no one was, and then it did. That's just how things go at TCC sometimes. And it was various reasons that we don't need to get into discussing. That's not going to help you. So let's just kind of move on with things. Hopefully audio is cool. If for some reason you can't hear me, I'm sure someone will say in the chat or someone can give a thumbs up. So this is a brand new course. It's an interesting course. It's a co-rec. We've never done co-recs before in our math department. I can think of plenty of other schools that haven't as well, but I'm only speaking for TCC. This is kind of the new version of what, quote, developmental math is. So we're not really calling it developmental math anymore, but the problem when you change the name of something is very often you're going to say the old name several times. So if you ever hear me call this developmental math, just know it's not my intention. I'm getting used to the new terminologies, co-recs, and all that jazz. So this is a learning support class. And we've done something similar to this in the past, but it was different in a couple of ways. And we won't talk about the old version of it because it's irrelevant. We'll just talk about what this one is. So how is this course interesting? Well, there's no tests. There's no quizzes. There's arguably no required homework, but notice how I have a lot of inflection in my voice there. I am going to require you to participate in homework assignments. And as the semester goes, students who are doing really well in my sections of Math 154, I can then say, all right, well, since I see your grades are fine, I'm not going to require you to do this co-rec material anymore necessarily. It's still highly recommended. We have a lot of great like study skills, assignments, and things like that that I'll brief you on today. But yeah, so the first issue with this course is anyone who is in here is supposed to be my student. You were supposed to have taken either my 9:30 to 10:45 or my 11 o'clock to 12:15 Math 154 that ran earlier today. But about probably half of you, I don't know, it's tough to tell. I can see who my students are, but I can't see who everyone else's are. So half of you aren't technically supposed to even be in here, which leads me to my first suggestion. If you are not enrolled in my Math 154, you should talk to your instructor and see what the linked co-rec class is. So the reason is I'm going to be teaching primarily to where I am with my Math 154 students. The problem is Math 154 is a course that, depending on the teacher, can run at very different paces and cover I don't want to say very different materials, but can cover different materials. We have these guided worksheets and homeworks and quizzes, and there's nothing that says each teacher has to do the same assignments. There might be a teacher that doesn't even use the guided worksheets at all and just makes them all up on their own. I make some up on my own, but not nearly all of them. So if I'm referring to a guided worksheet that my class just talked about, and your teacher is, 3 weeks away from doing that, you're going to be lost. So that's one of the major issues of this and why it was supposed to be a linked course. But because it was brand new, there were some complications with enrollment, I guess the way they coded it. I don't know. It's not my job. And there's no ill will meant towards them with brand new things. Stuff happens. I can't tell you how many things I've made mistakes on. We just got to get it right eventually. So again, my first suggestion, moving forward, if you are not in my Math 154 classes, one of my 2 classes on Tuesday, Thursday, 9:30 and 11 o'clock, I have like 1 or 2 seats available in each of those. So if you would prefer to be my Math 154 student after today, and a seat is still open, come on over, shoot me an email and let me know, because I'll have to send you all the course materials and links and course IDs and blah, 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 blah. but it's just going to be a lot easier if you're on the same teacher. It's going to be very complicated, and yeah, I mean, I think you get the idea there. If you've got, say, teacher Bob Dole, and yes, I'm saying Bob Dole, because I don't want to name any specific other teachers. But anyways, if you've got Bob Dole and he's 5 weeks behind where I'm teaching, if I'm in this class doing material that's 5 weeks ahead of you, again, that's going to be completely pointless. And because we're not in a traditional classroom, it's very hard for me to work with individual students. This would be a lot less of an issue if that were the case, but it's not. This is where we are. So it's just complication after complication. It's 2020, but we have to make the best of everything. So if you can't reschedule your Math 154 or your MDE 54 to be in the appropriate combined sections, I don't want to say combined, but linked, that's the appropriate word, linked sections. If you can't do that, I'm not going to boot you. You're more than welcome to stay. But just note that there will be times where I might be behind, I might be, I'll probably be ahead. I feel like I usually go ahead of most of the QR teachers, except for one. There's one who can just absolutely outpace me. I don't know how they do it, but it is what it is. All right, so rant aside. My name is Rodney Beckner, if you haven't already figured that out. My office phone number is there, but it's practically pointless because I'm only going to be in my office maybe 1 day a week due to COVID-19, yay. A lot of family stuff going on, a lot of dog stuff going on, but you don't need to hear all my reasons for why I'm going to be teaching from home most of the time. And my office is there, but again, I don't really anticipate seeing any of you in person because I really I'm not going to be on campus a lot, and in-person meetings are a little more challenging these days. But always happy to talk with you over email. If we need to have a Zoom meeting or anything like that, that's fine as well. Please understand that we will use mymathlab.com for pretty much everything of this course. We'll use Canvas occasionally for discussion boards, but that's probably about it. So again, email rbeckner@tcc.edu, to which you should have already received 1 or 2 emails from me. I sent you an email with the course ID, and I believe I just sent an email with the syllabus about 15 minutes ago. Don't quote me on that if I'm wrong, because I was doing 10 million things in my little 45-minute break while eating lunch. And I know I prepared the syllabus in that time for the course I didn't think I was teaching, which I'm not mad about that. I'm very happy to do this. In fact, I was one of the people that helped design this course, the course materials for Math 154. So I wanted to teach this. I was very sad when they told me I wasn't going to have enough students for my class to run. So I'm glad that some of you signed up at the last second. I hate saying that. In the future, please sign up for your classes earlier, because this is what late enrollment does to TCC. It causes classes to cancel. And man, were there some issues with these MDEs in terms of that. And yeah, we don't need to get into the politics of that stuff, but please enroll in your classes sooner than later to make sure that classes run on time, because TCC cancels things when head counts are low, because we have to. I mean, it's an educational place, but they have to be financially smart. We'll say that. I was trying to pick another word, but that's fine. Course ID, which again, I believe is sent in the email. I know 3 of you have enrolled in already, Beckner 68804. The awesome thing about this course is, first of all, you absolutely have to enroll in a Math 154 to enroll in this. If you somehow enrolled in this and are not in a Math 154, I'm going to blame the new linking system. But it's to my knowledge that everyone is in a linked course. You have to buy the MyMathLab Access Kit for Math 154. No ifs, no ands, no buts. You absolutely have to do it. And I will show you how to enroll in MyMathLab. Some of you will have already seen this, especially if you had me earlier today, but that's okay. So this is your course ID to get into the MDE 54. So this is a different shell. So you'll have a shell for your 154, that's Math 154, and then you'll have a shell for MDE, which is Math Direct Enrollment. And that D always throws a lot of us off because the word development starts with D, so a lot of people think that it's development there, but no, it's direct enrollment, because you directly chose to enroll yourself based on counseling advice, based on your transcripts and such. It's a new thing TCC is trying out. Weird, wild times. It's kind of an experiment. This is a pilot. Okay, table of contents, hyperlinks if you have this in book mode, doesn't really matter either way. Prereqs, you should have at least completed the math material that's in MDE 10, or if you're from way back in the day, Math 3 or Math 5 from a few years ago. Placement, we're not placing students directly anymore. We're, again, directly enrolling them under your choices, under advisement. But the mandatory co-req class of this is Math 154. Again, if you are somehow in this 54 without being enrolled in a 154, you need to fix that, or you're gonna go bye-bye. Whether I do it or the system just manually removes you eventually. So MDE 10, what this essentially is your basic arithmetic skills. All of the math that you should know with fractions, all the math that you should know with decimals, and all of the math that you should know with signed numbers. So I'm not here to necessarily teach you how to add 5 and negative 12. I'm not here necessarily to teach you how to add a half and a quarter. I'm not here necessarily to teach you what 0.2 plus 0.78 is. Those are skills you're supposed to already have. Now, given that you placed yourself directly, I have no idea if you have those skills. Quite honestly, the previous placement methods we had, kind of the same problem, which is why we're trying this new thing. Point being, if you're weak in these skills, you need to go to websites like Khan Academy or Purple Math and brush up on these things. Now, there are some assignments that kind of dust off those skills built into the MDE 54 math shell, but it's generally going to assume that you're good with that stuff. The things that we might assume you're a little weaker on are your basic algebra skills, your combining of something like 5x plus 3 plus 7x minus 12, or solving an equation like 6x plus 5 equals 12x minus 11. That's the type of things we are kind of assuming you're weaker at, given your decision in placement. If you don't know how to handle those things that I mentioned in MDE 10, you might want to reconsider what course you're enrolled in this semester. And I can't tell you to do that. I'm just suggesting that you may want to make that decision. Again, if you have no idea how to add 0.2 and 0.5, and it's going to take you half a semester to learn that, that kind of scares me for how you're going to do in Math 154. Because that's where your real grade is going to come. There are no graded assignments in here. I'm not going to be giving you A, B, C, D, or F grades at the end of the semester. You either pass this class because you attended it and you passed 154, or you fail this class because you either failed 154 or stopped attending this this MDE 54 class. That's it. There are homeworks in this course that I suggest you do. You'll see grades for them so that you'll know how you've done. But that will not affect whether you pass or fail this course. Now, what I can do is I can say that homework is going to be used to determine attendance because of this distance learning scenario we're in, because not everybody is able to watch these lectures live. So we as faculty have been advised not to just see who's in the live recording. I have 9 participants currently, which is, that's amazing. I think that's all of you, unless I have a student who dropped and is just in here magically watching the video still because they saw the email. Anyways, so because I'm going to have these videos recorded and I'll upload them to YouTube, and you'll be able to find that in Canvas soon. I've still got to set up our Canvas shell. But you'll have a video at the top for the live lecture, and then you'll have below that will be the, what's today, the 25th? The August 25th video. Then below that will be the August 27th video, and then below that will be the September 1st or 2nd video. You get the idea. So they'll populate as we actually record them, because I haven't recorded any of them yet. So again, because I can't just base attendance based on who is here live. Now, if all of y'all show up live, I could, but I can't mandate it because y'all's situation could change throughout the semester. You can just watch the videos in theory, but you won't be able to ask me questions in chat or questions out loud if you choose to unmute your mic and ask a question. So those are two of the downsides. But again, because of that weird attendance policy, I can say, all right, I haven't seen this student in the live session for a while. I've told my students they still need to at least be doing some of the homework. Let's see if Bob is doing any of the homework. And if it's 6 weeks in the semester and Bob hasn't touched a single homework assignment in MDE 54, then they're going to get dropped for not participating. The policy is supposed to be you can miss no more than 4 days. So if I see 5 class days of no participation, I can withdraw you. I'm not sticking to that very seriously. Again, it's more of a, did this person just completely stop and give up kind of scenario in which I withdraw you or fail you depending on where we are in the semester. A withdrawal from this course is supposed to be an automatic withdrawal from Math 154, but I'm willing to bet $100 that that's not the case because of the poor linking system currently set up. Again, will be resolved ultimately. It's brand new. Again, not complaining. It would be awesome if it was perfect, but hopefully they get it fixed sooner than later. So if I withdraw you from this course, again, you're automatically supposed to be withdrawn from the 154, but I don't expect that to work. And if you're not my 154 student, that might cause serious issues. So if you find that you're withdrawn from this course, then you're going to need to talk to your 154 teacher if you're still enrolled in it somehow and say, hey, I need to be withdrawn. You can withdraw yourself. That would actually be the better scenario. But you can also have your teacher do it as well. Which we've got a few 154 teachers this semester. I think we got Adam Becker, not Beckner. We have very similar last names. I think Vince Tucker is teaching some. I don't think Aziz is teaching this semester. I think Richmond is teaching it, but you don't need to hear the names, but we'll get to that in just a second. In fact, let's go ahead and get to it. What I need from every single one of you, first of all, I need you enrolled in your Mymathlab course before Thursday's course, before 1:30 on Thursday, or you're deleted from this for lack of participation. So this is very simple. It's a 5-minute thing, and I have the same policy for all of my courses. You have to take this 5-minute thing before the start of our next class to make sure I know you're willing to commit and do work throughout the semester. So if you are not in my MyMathLab course before 1 p.m. on Thursday, I will delete you, which means you'd be deleted from 154 and 54. I don't want to have to do that. Please don't make me do that. Every semester somebody makes me do it and I hate it. But again, if a student can't take 5 minutes to do this very simple thing so they have access to their course materials, I can't trust them to do anything the rest of the semester. We have to get on a good foot, whatever that phrase is, from the get-go. From the get-go. Canvas, the only thing that really is going to be used in Canvas are the discussion boards and then the live lecture link and previous lecture links, which will be on YouTube at that point, be in Canvas also. The live link is always the same. So that link I emailed you, the one that you used to come in today, it's the same link all semester. But the recorded videos will obviously have individual links. And again, they'll be posted no later than 5 p.m. each day. I have to do all my classes at once on Tuesday and Thursday. So basically this class ends and then I start uploading everything. So again, 5 p.m. is about the latest everything would be ready. It usually takes YouTube about 15 minutes to start or to get the upload process kind of started. But then the video looks ugly at first. And then it takes like another hour or two for the video to be in solid like 720p HD quality. So if I upload the video and you go watch it 5 minutes later, it's probably going to be all pixelated and junk looking. So just give it a little time if that happens. Please watch these videos, watch the whole thing. You never know what you're going to pick up in this or what I'm going to talk about, what we're going to talk about. And I do encourage questions and discussions as well. And like I said, general discussion boards can be for outside of the class. I'm not mandating this at all. It's for use if you would like to. if you ask me a question for the discussion board, and they're just supposed to be open-ended for anyone to answer, but if you want to ask me specifically, if I don't get back to you in 24 hours, shoot me an email and just say, hey, Mr. Beckner, look at the discussion board. Because sometimes a class will just have a very inactive discussion board, not my quantitative reasoning courses, but my pre-calcs tend to be. So I have no idea what this one's going to look like since I'm not mandating it. It may end up being no one uses it, maybe someone uses it every other day. So point being, if the discussion board doesn't have a lot of activity, I might not be checking it every day. So if it goes on a couple days, you can say, hey, Mr. Beckner, I asked you something in the discussion board, and I'll go check it out. When you're emailing me, if it's this course related, make sure you say MDE 54 in the course title. I'm only teaching one, so I don't need to know the date and time. Also put whatever's relevant that you're asking about in the email. If it's more about Math 154, make sure it's Math 154 in the title. And again, only if you're my student. If you are, say, Adam Becker's student, you should be asking him questions about Math 154. You ask me questions about MDE 54. Again, I'm hoping we get most of y'all in the right linked classes this week, sooner than later. But again, I know some of your schedules just may be fixed at this point already. And again, you're more than welcome to stay. I can help you as much as we can. Email your instructor. What I mean by that is email me your, I realized I typed that super quick right before class started. Email me your Math 154 instructor, not me. Do this immediately. So if you have me for Math 154, you don't need to email me because I've already got a roster with my MDE students, my MTH 154 students, and I can compare names. I can contrast very easily because I've only got like 50 students. It's only take me a couple of minutes. I did it a few days ago, but I've also had another 15 Math 154 students between those two classes enroll in the past 36 hours, again, because TCC students enroll late. And again, please try not to do that in the future because you cause classes to be erased. And it affects people's lives, not just mine, other students. And I'm not complaining about that aspect. I'm just pointing out facts. I had another class I was going to teach. It was going to be fine, but I wanted this one. So please, today, email me who your Math 154 instructor is. So I expect emails from about 5 of you, 4 or 5 of you. If you don't email me, you're going to get an email from me eventually and say, hey, you couldn't do that. Please, please, please. Who's your instructor? Learn your instructors' names. They appreciate it. All right, so back to the syllabus. Required text. This is literally copy-paste from the Math 154 syllabus. If you have me, you've already heard that rant. If you don't have me, hopefully you heard that rant about that. Yep, so someone in chat just mentioned that they heard about the link issue. No, it's a mess. And again, it's just brand new. That's what happens with brand new things. Nothing can be perfect first time around. So we have to laugh about these situations and not be anxious messes. All right. So just in case your teacher did not go over this for some weird reason, or maybe you haven't had your Math 154 class, you might have like a Tuesday night class or something, Wednesday night. The access code is the only thing that's a mandatory purchase. They do have available an access code with the guided worksheets printed out for like another 15 or 20 bucks. That's my personal recommendation, but it's not required because you are able to access them digitally, and I'll show you where to access those. And again, 4 or 5 of you, this is going to be a lot of the same thing you just heard an hour or 2 hours ago, but I got to make sure everyone's covered. Yeah. So no printed textbook because it's an electronic book. It's interactive. You can click on things. Right now, some of those things aren't working properly. It's great. Hopefully it's straight soon, though. All right. So the topics that we will cover in here. So some arithmetic and order of operations discussions will be covered briefly. Operations with fractions, percents, and decimals. So again, like I said, you're supposed to have been coming out of that 10 course, which covers those things already, but we will still very, very, very briefly cover it. But unfortunately, we do have to focus more on the algebra side of things, like exponents, formulas, units of measurement, simplifying algebraic equations, solving linear equations. I said equations right here, not supposed to say expressions, pardon my foul there. Using technology like Excel, calculators, we're going to talk about that quite a lot. I foresee that a couple of days we might go over a homework assignment that was already due with my class. I don't want to tell you how to do homework assignments. That's not what we're here. This is not supposed to be a class where we just say, here's your homework problems, here's how to do them, and that's not how I want to run it. So what the hope is that, all right, you see me do an Excel file, and then you can use that knowledge to work towards the next one, hopefully. That's kind of what I'm thinking there. And I might take a couple specific questions, but I'm not going to lead you by a leash on how to complete an Excel homework. And also, this is another issue where if you have a different teacher, their Excel homework could vary wildly from mine because we have a bank of about 40 or 50 to choose from, and most of us only do 10, 11, 12 each semester. I do 10 or 11. I've heard of some teachers doing like 20. I heard one time a teacher assigned all of them before it was 40. I think it was only 30 at that point, but even still, that's just mind-boggling. I don't know how the students did with that, but it is what it is. All right, cool. If I see some people saying that they swapped into my course, that's cool. I saw another person say they're having trouble swapping into my course. The only issues off the top of my head is maybe you have another course that is at that time. Maybe you're signed up for too many credits. Maybe you have a hold on your account, but I can't really help you with any of those regards. You might just need to talk to enrollment to help you there, because there has been some issues with these linked enrollments. I have been getting email after email from students in regards to this, and I am sorry that I can't be a little more direct in my help. But if you talk to enrollment, I hope that they will be able to get you straight. Yeah, never a quick process. So good luck with that. Like I said, not too many seats available left, so please take care of that today. Last I saw, I had 2 seats still available in both of my classes. Before this morning, I had like 6 seats available in my 9:30 class, and now it's only 2. So that's the fun of those last-minute enrollments. And then I send out emails with all that course information the day before classes start, and the only reason I don't do it a week or a month before is because I know the enrollment's constantly changing, and I'll just have to send it again and again and again and again, to which I've already done once for my Math 154 students. So please, if you do enroll in one of my Math 154s late, today or later, please email me so that I can forward you those documents. That way I don't have to just send them to all my students again, because they'll get sick of seeing the same email over and over and over. And that would be things like the syllabus, kind of a tips to start document, the specific course IDs, the Zoom links, kind of how things run, all that jazz. And I would also, if you are enrolling in my Math 154 now, I would also expect you to then go and watch the lecture video that I did earlier today. So they're not posted yet. Again, I've still got to convert and upload everything after this class ends, but I will make them available in Canvas. We already talked about the topics, rough outline of where we'll be, and if you heard me have this rant with 154, the schedule in 154 is not perfect. Honestly, we end up being a week or 2 behind pretty quickly. By the end, I generally don't even get to chapter 10, which is fine because there's nothing that says you have to learn chapter 10 before the next course. There is no next course. This is it. The next course is your real life. So week 1, study skills evaluation and getting used to Excel. So these weeks are kind of divided into like a study thing or how you should handle this course, and then actual math topics. That's what each week has. So like look at week 5, arithmetic with units. So that's the math side of things. And then time management, something I find most people to be quite terrible at. I was pretty terrible at it at one point in my life. We have to learn how to make schedules for ourselves. And I won't necessarily talk too heavy about that during class time, during these lectures. there are Mymathlab homeworks with questions and stories kind of to basically lead you along with, hey, how should I set up a weekly schedule for myself, or talk about blocking for times for schedules, things like that. Like from 6 to 8 p.m. I'm going to work on my math homework. From 8 to 9 p.m. I'm going to write a paper. From 9 to 10 p.m. I'm going to take a break. From 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Blocking your time and saying, I have to do this thing at this time no matter what, is very important. Because one thing that a lot of students don't understand, that again, you're hearing this rant from me again if you just had me with 154, is that for a 15-week course, a 3-credit class means you're supposed to be spending 6 or more hours outside of that class working on materials, studying, homework, things like that. Now, some of you will need more than 6 hours a week for that. Some of you will need less. It just depends on how great you are with math and Excel and learning and whatever capabilities you have. So there's a lot of variability with that, but the blanket statement is every 1 credit is every 1 credit hour in class means 2 hours outside of class. So 3 credits in means 6 out. That's why we call a 15-hour schedule a full course load, because it's a full-time job. 15 credits in the classroom, 15 hours spent in the classroom, then 30 hours spent outside the classroom studying, doing homework, etc. So here's the thing with this course. You're taking 3 credits for Math 154, and you're taking 3 credits for MDE 54. So that's 6 credits total, which means you should be spending 12 hours each week at a quote minimum, unless you're an all-star, working on material for these 2 courses. Now, this course doesn't have a lot of demand. It doesn't have all those crazy mandatory homeworks and quizzes and Excels and tests. There's no tests. There's no final for this class. This class is just literally me lecturing, asking you questions, a little bit of interaction with you as you please. And then I give you some Mymathlab homework to say, hey, just do some of this stuff because it'll probably help. But what you can do, since you're probably only going to use like 1, maybe 2 hours outside of class for this MDE 54 a week, those other 4 hours you can essentially bank and use that as extra time working towards 154. I mean, it's really just all one giant course, right? So again, if you're in this, that means you are ready to commit 12 or more hours a week to studying and working on this math outside of the classroom. That's 18 hours total a week. I get half of your full-time job slot. That's why we don't want students having full-time jobs and full-time college schedules, because that's 2 full-time jobs. So take that with a grain of salt. And if you're in 18 credits and working 35 hours a week, maybe think about backing out of a class or 2 unless you were just a real go-getter. Some people can handle that load. Some people are busybodies, type A personalities, that kind of thing, and they can just work. They don't need to relax. They don't need time off. Some of us have families. Some of us have sick families that we take care of. Some of us have jobs working 40, 50 hours a week. You get the idea here. We're all different. We're all unique. We're all wonderful. We all have our own story and experience that we're going through. So make sure that you are prepared to commit your time this semester, because if you can't commit time, which is an investment in yourself, you can't be successful in this course unless you're just already brilliant with material. And if you're brilliant with the material, I'm not sure why you're in this course. Your advisor should have said something else. What was the last little thing I wanted to point out there? Oh boy, the investment side of things. Why are we here? Why are we in college? We're investing in ourselves. We invest time in ourselves. We work on ourselves to ultimately get a degree, to then get a better job, probably, to then get more money, probably, so that we can then invest actually into our retirement plan and hopefully not have to work past 62 or 65 or 67 or whatever. And I tell you what, out of Math 154, if there's one goal I have, it's to make everyone understand how important it is to start your retirement planning as soon as possible. If you're 18, you need to start today. If you're 22, you need to start yesterday. If you're 37, you need to start 5 years ago. Because time is the most important aspect to saving up for retirement. Social Security is not a retirement. Social Security is a I'm going to live on peanut butter and jelly for the rest of my life kind of thing by the time that people my age are ready to retire. And now, you know, we might not even be paying into Social Security for a while or ever again, because, you know, what universe are we living into? But I'm getting sidetracked. I don't want to do that. We can have those rants another day. So again, each of these weeks is kind of partitioned into two things. One, a math topic like arithmetic or fraction arithmetic and scientific notation. And then the other half of the week is partitioned to something like time management and a life skill, or getting used to, or sorry, study skills. You know, how do you go about studying? How do you take notes? Things like that. And again, these are not all those study skills, time management, growth mindset, let's see, the power of making mistakes. These are not things I'll always go super heavy into, maybe once or twice, not even at all. I'm trying to think of one in particular I don't plan on talking about. Reading to learn, I really don't plan on talking about. Honestly, it's something I don't feel that comfortable really getting into deep analysis as a math teacher, but I can at least tell you how to kind of look for the important details, not necessarily read between the lines, but do what feels like reading between the lines, cutting the fat out of it, you know, things like that. But again, you have Mymathlab stuff for all of those. The Mymathlab homework, the math style homework, is generally related to what the math part says, but not always. Sometimes it might actually relate a little more to the Math 154 side of things for that particular week. And again, depending on your teacher, it may be a week behind or a week ahead, which is, you know, awesome that we don't require every homework to be done. After the 14th week, we're really not going to be doing anything in this course because it's pretty much finished. Week 15 is just the exam. So I don't really have anything planned for that. We'll see what happens as we get closer. Standard COVID-19 statement: if you're going on campus, please wear a mask. Please follow guidelines. Stay home if you're sick. You have to check in at the only entrance and exit to each building for Portsmouth, generally located around the quad. Yeah. Grade policy: there is no true A, B, C, D, F grade in this class as long as you finish. You either pass because you passed Math 154 and you attended this course regularly, or you fail because you failed Math 154, or you stopped attending this course at the end. If you stop attending very quickly, then you'd get a W if it's before the W date, which we'll see soon. There is a statement in the syllabus missing a letter here that didn't get copied apparently, so that's supposed to say in. So in order to remain in Math 154, students must attend and participate in MDE 54. Things I've already said. Students who fail to attend and participate for 3 or more classes, that's supposed to say 4. The syllabus builder has 3 as a number pre-built in it. Sorry for that. Either way, the result will you will be dropped from both your classes. Again, in theory, both. You might have to do the second one a little differently. So this is kind of the loose statement that I don't really want to put in a syllabus. I would rather just say it out loud and have you know that it's a fact, but it's in there anyways. So the idea is, if a student throughout the semester is making B's or higher on everything, and we mean everything, then their enrollment in MDE 54 is arbitrary. They're handling the course perfectly fine. Now, I don't mean in the first 2 weeks you've got B's and everything. I'm talking like halfway through the semester. I'm not going to let that stop attending MDE 54 happen anywhere before 8 weeks in. So please understand that. This statement will never be true until halfway through it. And that last sentence is extremely important. If you wish to stop attending the MDE 54, you have to confirm it with me first. I have to go and look at all your grades because they're going to be in different locations. Some are in Canvas, some are in Mymathlab. I have to go and look at them and make sure that you are doing everything and that you are doing everything well. So if a student is doing everything and doing everything well halfway through the semester, they can email me and say, Mr. Beckner, do I really need to keep attending the 54? I'd be happy to keep looking at the study skills stuff and blah, 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 because it's a pretty cool resource and I find it helpful, but I don't feel the need to be, in the lecture time. And at that point, if they're making B's or higher and they're doing everything, I'll go, yep, sure, that's fine. But at that point, if I see, well, you got some B's here and there, but I'm also seeing some C's and D's, especially more recently. You missed these assignments. You aren't even doing the Excel. What's up with that? No, you have to stay. You're not going to be exempted from that. So again, this absolutely has to be run by me before you can stop. If you have a different instructor, you're going to have your instructor send me your grades. Let me say that differently. You don't have to have your instructor send me your grades. You just need to talk to your instructor and say, yeah, I got a shoddy internet connection to, this is the awesomeness of Zoom. At least it's actually working, unlike yesterday. I wish I had this on my computer because someone sent me an awesome meme, another teacher friend. It was SpongeBob, if anyone's familiar, and it says thousands of classes going back to school online, then Zoom servers, and then it posts SpongeBob and says, I'm a head out. I laughed hysterically at that because what else do we expect? So hopefully this will stabilize in a second or two. I never even watched SpongeBob, but I love that meme. It's great. Let's see. I'd like to think I have an okay sense of humor. I don't take a lot of things too seriously. Like I said, if you do, all you end up with is anxiety and stomach ulcers. Okay, so hopefully it's working a little better. If you're having a hard time hearing me in a minute still, just let me know. Course communication, same thing per usual. Students are expected to email within 1 business day if a response is necessary. And I do the same. I'll always respond within 1 business day. If you don't get a response from me, just shoot me another email saying, hey, Mr. Beckner, what happened? I'm getting a ton of emails now, given the way these classes are set up and all the technical issues we're having. So if I ever miss an email, it's not because I didn't want to respond and I'm being rude. It's because 50 other emails came in and I forgot to do it or I missed it completely. So just say, hey, what's the status of that? And I'll get back to you immediately. I don't always respond on the weekends. It depends on where I am, if I have access to the internet or not. I'm mobile a lot on the weekends, and I have T-Mobile, which is just pretty much garbage 30 minutes outside of Hampton Roads, unless you're in Richmond or DC or Raleigh or something like that. But it's cheap, so it's what I use. State worker, right? Can't afford Verizon. So attendance, we've already discussed. If everybody makes every live video, that will be awesome. You're the only class that I expect that to happen to if you repeat today's session. And again, there's that loose attendance policy. I'm going to say, if I haven't seen your name live in a while, that's when I'll go to the homework. And I mean, this should just be true of everyone. Just do a little bit of the homework here and there. There's a lot of homework questions. You don't have to do them all. I just need to see something. If I see 4 or 5 weeks of nothing in the Mymathlab shell, and I definitely know I haven't seen your name live in a while, that's when you get withdrawn. Again, I want to keep a very loose policy with this. I don't want to withdraw anyone for not participating, but I will if you're just doing absolutely nothing with the MDE and you're not making straight A's in the other class. If you're making straight A's, that's fine. That's another story, but you're still supposed to talk to me about that at least. If you really read this syllabus, you're going to see a lot of the same things typed twice, and that's because of the syllabus builder. Because I don't see what this says. So when I have to type this section, a lot of the information is conveyed twice. 15%, that's the opposite, if you will, of 85%. Because that's 15% missed means make 85%. Late work, makeup work, there's no official work for this course, just mandatory attendance. But like I said, I can use Mymathlab homework to count as attendance. Do as much or as little as you feel possible, necessary, but do something. Classroom behavior, I mean, when you come into the classroom, just make sure you're muted. If you have, kids you're babysitting or construction going on, or, dogs that like to bark. I got that, dogs that love to bark. I've also got an old dog that has medical emergencies sometimes. And it happened earlier today, and I kind of had to do some stuff about that. But anyways, if all of a sudden I disappear for 5 or 10 minutes, it's probably that last thing. But again, for y'all, unless you have something to say, just make sure you're muted. When you have something to say out loud, you can unmute, and then when you're done, you can remute yourself. I have the power to mute you as well, but I'd rather y'all handle it yourselves. Try and be on time for this, but if you're 5 or 10 minutes late, I'm not going to say I don't care, but I'm not going to dock you for that. Just show up when you can. Also, give me a few minutes. If I'm ever 2 or 3 minutes late for starting this, it's probably just because my internet's being slow, or Zoom is being slow, or Canvas is being slow, or I had to clean up after my dog. I don't really feel like I need to say anything about electronic devices. Inclement weather, sign up for TCC alerts if you haven't. Very important. It can save you from making a 1-hour trip in the snow because when you left for work, the announcement hadn't gone to the news yet. And then when you get there, apparently if you'd gotten a text message or a call from TCC alerts because you were signed up for it, you could have turned around. But if you're not signed up, then you go to work, you see an empty parking lot, you say a few bad words, and then you go back home and you sign up for TCC alerts. That's my favorite story to tell about myself from about 8 or 9 years ago. In case of emergency shutdown of the college, if we know in advance, I will email you. There could be a situation where I don't have internet at home or on campus in my office because we get crazy hurricanes. I mean, we got 2 hurricanes coming up the Gulf right now. How often does that happen where they're synchronous with each other? 2020, right? We'll probably have a snowstorm in 3 weeks. We'll have a torrential windstorm in 5 weeks. I live in the land of pine trees in Churchland. If we have any wind over like 30 miles an hour, I lose internet and power just instantly. This last hurricane, I was fortunate to only be up without power for 24 hours. That was great. I was expecting to be days without it. But anyways, if you don't hear from me and you go into the live class and I'm not there and you just wait 15 minutes, after 15 minutes, if I don't show up, it's probably because I don't have internet and I don't have a way to email everyone. I can go into, as long as T-Mobile still has service, I can go on my phone and send a quick reply to an old email to everyone, but I can't actually access the master list of emails and then send it from there. So it's not always a perfect system. I saw a chat. 2020 is just bad around. Yeah, we'll look back on 2020 with real hindsight, I'm sure. We should have seen it coming. In the case of a missed class, if I have the opportunity to record it at an alternative time, I will. The problem is if I miss all 3 classes on a Tuesday, Thursday that I teach, it's going to be quite impossible for me to make all those up. So it would probably be more of a just, hey, check out the homework stuff. Maybe I'll do like a quick 10 or 15-minute video with a couple of quick tips and tricks. I'll have to play it by ear, but I don't always anticipate being able to do a re-record. I will do my best, but I can't make promises. And worst case, we miss a class. I mean, that generally happens. There's not a lot of classes where you don't end up missing a day at some point. I don't like it. I want to be here every day, but we will tolerate whatever we have to deal with, and we will survive, and we will grow. Withdrawal deadline. So if you think you can't handle these 2 courses in combination, you need to withdraw before the 29th, or else you will receive an F if you withdraw after, and that F would be in the Math 154, and then you'd get the R or U, whichever the failing grade is going to be. They haven't told us yet. This says U, but I heard someone say it might be R. A U is basically an F with no GPA attachment to it, and it doesn't look as bad on a transcript. I'm not going to say it looks great, but an F with a 0 GPA is definitely much worse, which, by the way, this MDE 54 has no grade associated with it, which means there's no GPA associated with it. You'll only get your 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 from the Math 154, and that will only be 3 credits. This is just pass-fail. It's a discussion class, and do some stuff outside. Fingers crossed you work hard. If you want to withdraw for a tuition refund, that date is September 9th. If you withdraw after the 29th, the only way we can get you a W instead of an F is if you've got some crazy extenuating circumstances, like you moved to Canada or had a baby or were detained. And same joke as before, hopefully the last one doesn't happen. Not really a joke. Seriously, hopefully that doesn't happen. Never want that. It requires lots of paperwork that no one wants to have to fill out. So just please understand where your life's taking you before then if you can. But of course, emergencies always happen. You can always email me and let me know if you're going to miss class for whatever reason, sick, funeral, court, accident, anything like that. But I mean, I don't really think that's necessary given that you can just watch the recorded one. I'm certainly happy to receive your email and see that you know you'll watch it later. I get those occasionally, and that's awesome. But you don't have to. Since, again, attendance is a looser, weirder policy than usual. Make sure your work's your own, especially in the 154. You know, your homeworks, your Excel homeworks, your quizzes, your tests, your projects. We don't want anyone being busted for plagiarizing, cheating, anything like that, because we don't want to have to give zeros. We don't want to have to remove you from courses. We don't want to have to take anything to the Dean of Student Services. We don't want to do these things. And I know that maybe in this digitally run class that those might be a little more enticing to some of us. Please, please, please do your work yourself. What I tell my Math 154 students is that this is a class for them, not for me. The point of the class isn't just to make a good grade, it's to learn something to be able to put towards your life. To be able to say, hey, this thing went up by 30 cents this year. How much do I expect it to go up next year? Or apples went up by 5 cents. How much do I expect oranges to go up if they're proportional? Or how much money do I need to put away each month to retire on $1 million? Things like that. Wouldn't everyone like to retire with $1 million? And honestly, $1 million might not even be that much 20, 30 years from now. This whole COVID-19 thing, the way Uncle Sam is just printing money, there's a lot of different theories over whether we're going to have higher than normal inflation, maybe even deflation, or quite possibly hyperinflation. If you ever look into a couple of countries and their hyperinflation, you'll find images or documents talking about people bringing millions of dollars of their currency just to go buy a couple loaves of bread. I mean, you literally have to bring out the stacks of cash on a cart because of hyperinflation, and it just makes their money go to be not valuable at all, worth pretty much nothing. If you know anything about Japanese currency, the yen, roughly it's about a penny, 1 yen. Let me say this again. 1 yen is, I'm still saying it wrong. 100 yen is about $1. So a yen is about a penny. So think of it as like our dollars turning into yen if we experienced hyperinflation. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I really don't expect it to happen. The Fed has gotten a really good control on inflation. But we are living in weird times, so who knows? I'm curious to see whether $1 million is still awesome to have 20 years from now if I can somehow work my way up to it. Like I said, I hope we all can. I'm doing the things I'll tell you all to do, so hopefully we all get there together and we can have some nice drinks on the beach one day. Let's see, anything else on this? We talked about plagiarism, the grading system, educational accessibility. I don't know that that's really going to be important for this course, given that there is no testing, given that your lectures are already recorded. But if you do have a form that you want me to have, send it over to me. But I just don't know that there's going to be any way that in this MDE 54 course that I would even be able to accommodate you. But in those 154 students, you should absolutely be accommodated. And as I've already said to my 154 students, I will do so. And I'm assuming that your other 154 teachers, if you are not my student, that they would accommodate you as well. But again, happy to receive the form. And if there is something up there that I would need to accommodate you with, then I will do it. Hospitalizations, contact Office of Educational Accessibility so that we know what's going on. Emergency procedures, bomb threats, tornadoes, fires, anything like that. Really not going to be an issue not being on campus. but should it arise, we've got plans in place. Title IX, there'll be no discrimination of any kind. You're all awesome. We love you all the same. Student success resources like the library is available. The hours are posted on their website. I don't know them off the top of my head. So if you need internet access, you could go on campus and use a computer at the library. I'm not telling you to go on campus. That is your option. I will never tell you to go on campus. That is your choice. We also have the Learning Assistance Center, also known as the Learning Resource Center, also known as the Tutoring Center. Gotta love multiple names in PC language. So they are going to be available via Zoom. I believe they might be available on campus as well. Please notice the inflection in my voice. I need to discuss that with Johnny Davis, the person who runs the tutoring center. We've just been doing our best to get everything gathered together this past few days. So there's a couple things I just don't know yet, but they will definitely be doing the Zoom sessions. They're free. You can't beat free. It beats paying $40 for private tutoring. They do excellent work with not just the math material, but with the Excel material. So if you find yourself really stalling out with that, I highly recommend going to them for your Excel assistance. Because while we'll talk about it a little in 154, we'll talk about it some in here, that's going to be a lot more helpful if you're working on a homework and you're not sure what to do. They can kind of point you in the right direction. They're not going to tell you what to type. They're not going to tell you what to do. They'll remind you, well, hey, it looks like you need to use a fixed cell reference. This is how fixed cell references work. Try it out. See if it reacts the way you expect it to. If not, put this little cache symbol in a different place. A cache symbol is how you do a fixed cell reference, as we'll be discussing. So again, once I have that link, you will all receive that in email. Besides that, I mentioned these two places earlier, Khan Academy and purplemath.com. I feel like the H and the A are backwards. I always get that mixed up. Let's see, let's find out. Actually, I should probably just Google. It is K-H-A-N, I thought so. So K-H-A-N, whoever typed those swapped them. I'll even admit, I think I was the one that did that. So again, those are great for that, hey, I'm having a real hard time remembering how to do 3 minus 17. Those are great resources for that, in addition to everything else we've already given you. And then just normal websites for the rest of TCC that you can look at on your own. So that's the syllabus. Questions on the syllabus? Okay. Mymathlab, how do we enroll? We go to mymathlab.com. We go to register now as a student. And in fact, I want to do it on this one. I'm just using a different browser so I can pull up my account quickly after. Register now as a student. You may have a pop-up thing that you have to remind me later. It tells you the things you need, your email address, your instructor's course ID, which I emailed and had on the screen earlier, and then your access code, credit card, or PayPal if you already have it. Now, I am going to suggest that you enroll in the Math 154 course first. Now, if you think you're going to switch to my course, just pause on this until you have that course ID. And I'm not telling, I don't want to say pause because I know I have some students in here. I'm just questioning the order, if you have to do it in a specific order or not. Given that I already have 3, hopefully that's not the case. So, okay, register now. Type in Beckner, and then that 5-digit number, it's none of those. It was 68804. 68804. And then you should see MDE 54 Fall 2020 as your course, taught by Rodney Beckner. If you already have your account, which I think most of you probably will if you've already signed up for Math 154, you can just sign in with your credentials there. And if you've already linked your, why did I just blank on the term? Your access code, your access kit. If you've already linked that to your 154, then the 54 should already say it's paid for or whatever it says. It should be perfectly fine. You shouldn't have to do a trial. You shouldn't have to buy a second code. It's only one code for both. I suspect that if you enroll in MDE 54, you can use the code to enroll in 154, but I wouldn't test that. I wouldn't test that out. If you need to make a new account, you go to create, email address, username, password, all that good stuff. Make sure that your email address, if you're using, which I suggest you use, your TCC email address is at email.vccs.edu. Make sure you get that right, because if you get it wrong, you'll create an account with a fake email. When you go to log in with the right email, it's going to say your account doesn't exist. You'll try and find your password and it says your account doesn't exist and you're stuck. So please make sure you're using the correct email. Click to agree on the terms. Click the one or more of these apply if they apply. I'm not a big fan of receiving extra emails, so I'd click the I do not wish, but that's me personally. Don't click it if you don't want to. Then hit create an account. Now again, if this is your first time enrolling in either 154 or 54, it should take you to the next screen, but I can't show it. I have to have a little drawing of it. And it'll look something like this. So again, after you finish that last screen of registration, there'll be a button where you can use your code. And again, I highly suggest that you're enrolling in the 154 first and use the code there, or you can buy your code. These codes are about $95 through Barnes & Noble and about $75 if you buy it from the website. Buying it from the website could maybe cause issues with a financial aid reimbursement. I'm not sure. Talk to them, and I wish someone would let me know about that so that I know for future reference. So if you do go inquiring about that, then shoot me an email and let me know, because I'd love to have that information. And if you don't have your code, then you just do the 14-day free trial down here, and it'll log you in. And it looks something like this. Not bad. So you won't have nearly as many courses as me, obviously. Again, I see 3 of you with 1 unpaid temporary access. So 2 have paid, 1 has not. 1 has not. This e-text is literally the exact same e-text as the Math 154 shell. When you are in this, when you go to a specific chapter, you can still see the guided worksheets that you should be working on, depending on your teacher, maybe, I guess, in the regular class. I absolutely use these. I'm kind of the manager for 154, and I always suggest that my other instructors use them since it's course materials. But I also advise them that, you know, instructors have freedom. As long as they make good exercises, they can make their own if they wanted. So again, literally the exact same thing as before. E-text contents. What will be different are your assignments. And by the way, your video and resource library, this is the same. And in case if you had a different instructor, if they didn't point this out, this is excellent. Video resource library. Click this video button. You can use the drop-down menu to select a specific chapter, but I just want to load everything once so you can see it. Click Find Now, see all of them, that is. And they have a ton of videos from the author, Gaze, G-A-Z-E, some of them based on the chapter material. And then on chapter 0, the spreadsheet stuff that we'll be talking about this next week roughly in 154, and a little bit in the 54 as well. Not too much. Again, we kind of have to talk about basic arithmetic stuff leading up to it. Anyways, tons of tutorial videos. So hey, I forgot how to fill a formula down. I forgot where I'm supposed to be clicking on a cell to do that. Well, fill formula or filling down. And then there's a video. I learned something earlier. I think I learned something earlier. Let's see, new share. If I click share computer sound, let me know if someone in the chat.
A spreadsheet can be used to do arithmetic. To do this, you enter a formula by starting with an equal sign. Again, remember, every formula in Excel must start with an equal sign. And let's say we want to multiply the quantity ordered times the cost per item.
Sweet, I learned something.
Now, as a basic arithmetic,
I had a really bad fail in my 11 o'clock class. It was pretty hilarious to me. I'm sure everyone was annoyed at the time, and I get it. I was annoyed when I learned of it. But there was an extra button I have to click for audio from my computer to output versus audio from my mic to output to y'all. So that's nice going forward because I'm going to need that a lot. But anyways, you're not the only ones here learning. I love that fact. You know, I'm learning every day. I'm never done learning. I never will be done learning. Learning is fun. It gives you more tools, gives you more shortcuts sometimes, gives you easier ways to do things, gives you more knowledge, more power. So again, excellent videos. I encourage you to watch these videos on topics that you think you need help with. So you're working on Excel homework 1, and at one point it tells you to fill a formula down, and I'll teach you how to do that in class. But if you forget and can't find that section in that hour and 15-minute video, or forget what day it was at, you can really quickly go to this and again, fill formula. It's very obvious what it is. Let me show you how it's done. It's got speed up and slow down options. You can adjust the volume. Closed captions might work. I'm not going to play with that right now, though. Someone said something. Several people said something. Oh, cool. Just a bunch of yeses. There's a lot of videos you won't need, like anything that says norm. This is statistics. We don't do statistics in here. Some product is actually a really great tool that while you don't have to use, there's a couple of times in this course when it would be helpful to use. What the cursors look like, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. Excellent resource. Oh, we're on time, 9 minutes. So where are you going to spend the majority of your time in the MDE 54 shell? Assignments. So week 1, study skills. So we're on week 1 right now. There's 56 questions. And you will notice this is way more homework questions than what the Math 154 sections have. And again, that's because the Math 154 homeworks are actually graded. I'm not going to give you any kind of grade based on whether you did 1 of these or 50 of these or 29 of these correctly. What I can use it for is, again, attendance. And again, I don't need to see all 50 done on something to call it attendance. I would just need to see if they do a couple from it. These questions, there's a lot of drop downs, there's a lot of multiple choice. So, I mean, they're not too time consuming, but by paying attention to the question and what the answer is, you can take notes on that and learn some things. Question help, not too helpful with most of these styles. Like I said, tons of multiple choice. Some things are simpler, like what's the difference between fully online and hybrid? What statement about online classes is true? I made a decent amount of these since we were going to be online. His learning management, blah, 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 blah. But the windows for the videos will not open. What should Roberto do to correct the problem? Yeah. What should you do of these things? If you get it wrong, that's okay. It'll give you multiple attempts most of the time. If you get it wrong several times, it tells you the correct answer. You can hit try again. Now that you know what the answer was, you could then select the right one. I think it's a D. Now maybe these choices shuffled. They probably do, and they sure did. Okay, so and a lot of times it'll tell you, hey, clearing the cache will do this and this and this, but not what you want. Reboot the computer maybe. Oh, the answer was C. It was disable the pop-up blocker. Let's try again. So video won't work. Oh, well, a lot of times when videos open up in a separate window, a pop-up blocker might block it. So yeah, it makes sense. Disable the pop-up. There we go. We got it right, even though we did it wrong a whole bunch of times. Now when I close the assignment, you can see that green check is there. I've done something. Don't just do one. You don't have to do them all. Do some of them. Because like I said, you might learn something. Some of these are very obvious for some of us. Some of them will be less obvious for some of us. Some of them might be something you've never heard of. And again, all of us might learn in that situation. So that's what like a study skills, the non-math type of homework looks like. This other one in week 1 is literally nothing because there's no math homework to give you with Excel. It's more just about, hey, you should be focusing in that Math 154 on the Excel basics. So you'll notice this one only has a single question, and it's an Excel question. But again, the title of that is more important there. And that's the only one like that. It just says, see Video and Resource Library Chapter 0, which I showed you earlier. Under the Video Resource Library, then I clicked Video, and we saw at least 1 or 2 different Excel-based videos. So check out some of those that will be relevant to what we cover in the Math 154 Excel stuff over the next week. So then week 2, number sense. So here's some actual math problems. Decreased by that. So that's a subtraction problem. So you can subtract them and get them right. And again, there's 47 problems. If you feel like, oh, I know what to do, I don't even need to do it, then don't do it. But again, do some of it. Find the area. Ooh, this is weird. This area has got several different chunks. There's no formula for this, so you'd have to do the area of 3 rectangles, probably. Find the distance. If this is a scale right here, this is something we'll talk about in Math 154, and while technically you haven't talked about it in there yet, you may already know how to do it, and if you don't, view an example or help me solve this might do some help. View an example, takes you step by step through a similar problem. Oh, it looks like we're multiplying these numbers for reasons. So it looks like we're probably going to be multiplying these two numbers. not these two numbers. And if you did that, you would then get the right answer. Excuse me. To help me solve this, we'll actually ask for your input along the way. It's a little more to make sure you're engaged, and being engaged is important. When you do help me solve this, you'll notice that the 3 changed to an 8 because the help me solve this was using the numbers already there. The view an example gives different numbers. 10. Help me solve this. 8. 210 now. So as I said, a solid amount of homework problems in this. We don't expect anyone to finish all of them. Do the ones that you feel uncomfortable with. Do the ones you feel comfortable with, but you don't have to focus on them. But if you see a question that you don't know how to do, definitely do it. If you don't know how to do all 47, please try all 47. If you know how to do without even trying, if you absolutely know you can do questions 1 through 10 but not the rest, then skip 1 through 10. Like I said, no A, B, C, D grades based on these homework. This homework is for you. You are the judge, not me, you. So don't just skip it out of pure laziness. Laziness is not going to get you that job making more bread later. Put the effort in now to get an A or B in that 154 class. Then get your degree, then get that job, then get that money. Let's look at another assignment. Reading to Learn, week 3. A bunch of different questions. Not 50 of them. It's only 35 this time. So they talk about some stuff. Which statement is most important for Samantha to highlight in her psychology textbook when learning psychological concepts? Is it more important to know the names, the theories, his early education, or his date of birth? Well, if it's notes for a psychology class, yeah, probably the major theories. If this was a, grade 4, grade 5 class, maybe the names of somebody, I don't know, but that just makes more sense. These are important details. These are critical issues. So critical thinking, critical reading skills are very important in Math 154. So that's something that this MDE 54 might help you address. And again, I don't know what level you're at there, so maybe you don't do any of those. But as long as I see you doing other things, that's fine. Maybe you skip this stuff, but do the math stuff. Or maybe you skip the math stuff, but do the study skills, time management, growth mindset type of stuff. Growth mindset, by the way, is all about challenging yourselves constantly, always trying to go one step further, working harder. Because while right now, maybe you can lift a 5-pound dumbbell doing a bicep curl. If you spend time practicing it and doing it more and practicing it, you can work up to a 7.5 and then a 10 and then a 12.5. Your brain is literally a muscle. It's the same way. So while you may feel you're not capable of doing a certain level of mathematics right now, with time, energy, practice, and focus, you can work towards doing anything you want, really. I've had a colleague in the past who started at TCC 15 or 20 years ago. This was a long time ago, and they started in an Algebra 1 class. And they grew to like math a little more and more. They were never good at math before, but I guess just a change in their life kind of made it more interesting. I don't know. They ended up getting their PhD in math 7-8 years later. That's growth. Don't think that you can grow. Everyone is capable of growth. You have to have a positive mindset going forward. You have to be understanding that you are capable of growth. So that's one of my favorite ideas in this, although again, I might not really have the time Oh, that's right. These were just videos. Some of the assignments are a little bit shorter. I'm very glad I clicked that one. This is just 3 videos, so that's an easier one. There's another one that's much shorter as well. Was it this one? No. Interpreting correlation? No. Embracing challenges? Yes, here's another one that was shorter, just 3 videos. So E generally means it's a video, I believe. Yep. It's not even one video. Nice having music. You get the idea. All right, so that is, we are at time at this point. If anyone has any questions before we close out, please let me know. Please remember to enroll in both your Math 154 and your MDE 54 courses before Thursday's classes. If you're in another Math 154 instructor, they'll have different rules, but I am very strict about enrolling in Mymathlab. Again, because you saw how quick it was. It doesn't take a lot of effort. So go ahead and get started. Like I said, I know 3 of you are already in. Let's see the other 6 or 7. It was great talking to you. I hope this was a little bit helpful. Awesome. I'm glad you were able to swap your classes. Shoot me an email immediately, and then I can forward you all those materials. Again, if you did swap into my 154, happy to have you aboard. Make sure you watch the video from the class today once it is in that Canvas shell. And yeah, have a good one. Email me with any questions. We'll see you on Thursday. Take care.